Yeah, I think we can start now. A warm welcome to the second day program of our fourth regional conference of the Vienna Declaration. A good day to everyone. As you can see, we are meeting digitally at an old knight's castle of the 10th century in central Germany. So we also travel through time, not only in real time through space. Martin Repol, our project coordinator, and I will guide you also today through the program. Two of our ambassadors, one from Pakistan and one from out of the typhoon of Philippines, will support us in this. Hopefully, our ambassador from the Philippines can reach us. She just told me that at the moment electricity is off, but hopefully it will be on again when her turn will be on. Like yesterday, I want to start today's conference by giving a brief overview over the development of the Vienna Declaration so far, and then report some observations of yesterday's program. The first conference of the Vienna Declaration had a focus on Europe, and it happened at the end of 2020 with partners from Africa, Asia and America. It was followed by the Americas Conference in 2023 and the Asia Conference in May this year. And now in November 25, we will continue the series. Is a focus on Africa, as well as partners from the other continents, but working in the African context. Over the past 4 years, the Vienna Declaration has grown from a small network from around 100 individual signatories, 30 institutional partners and 5 project partners, to a quite bigger network today of around 2,300 signatories, 300 institutional partners, 80 project partners across the world, and 12,000 social media followers. This together constitutes a global network of an estimated 50 million citizens all over the world from 148 countries. This increase of support may be quite impressive. But in respect of our ambition to create a global movement of citizens for a new area of sustainability, this can only be a gentle beginning. In short, promoting a joyful version of societal transformation requires a kind of smiling revolution. And this is a challenging, long-term undertaking. It involves forming a new generation of sustainability initiatives from the ground up, backed by ambitious policies and much more, leading to a new understanding of well-being and of a successful life and much more. However, another 2 years with a 10 to 20-fold increase would undoubtedly be an important step toward that direction, and the motto shall be, let the seeds that we have already sown flourish and bloom across the planet. This conference shall be an important step in this direction. Before I turn to today's program, let us spend a few seconds on Africa itself. All too often, the world press treats it as it were just a large country somewhere in the global south. This was the case when I first visited the continent at the end of the 1970s, and it is still today. This view could not be more wrong. It is helpful to bear in mind, not only for this conference, that Africa is the world's second largest continent by surface area, 7 times bigger than Europe, for instance, and the home of 54 countries. With a population of 1.2 billion, It is also the second most populated continent, with more than 2,000 different languages spoken and about 3,000 ethnic societal formations. It is culturally incredibly diverse and, of course, also biologically. To illustrate the sheer size of the continent briefly, each of the two largest countries by area, Algeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo, is already larger than the European Union. In terms of population, Nigeria is the largest. With 232 million inhabitants, Nigeria alone is half the size of the European Union of 450 million inhabitants. Even more importantly, for the future, African youth constitutes 19% of the global youth population, numbering 226 million. So 1 in 5 young people on the planet is African. Together with its wealth of resources, it is certainly not an exaggeration to say that Africa has the potential to be humanity's future. Taking into consideration what I said in my contribution to the 2025 African Regional Conference on Education and Skills Development, talent is evenly distributed across the planet, but the conditions for its full development are not. It becomes obvious that Africa can only be the future of humanity if the condition of education prepares for that future, and if education performs its duties appropriately. This is why we are paying in this conference special attention to how to develop the talents of young people in the most appropriate way. Another important topic is the role of arts and cultural heritage for establishing a new era of sustainability in a joyful way. Before I leave the floor to Martin, introducing today's contribution, please let me report some personal observations of yesterday's presentations. One key topic was, as I already mentioned, certainly the role of education programs and appropriate contents of these programs. All contributions stress the need for more adapted contents, and this at least in a twofold respect. First, in respect of the cultural conditions and natural conditions on side of all citizens, to make them familiar with the circumstances at home and not only of other places, or most of all of other places. But of course, this get familiar with the circumstances at home should not be done in a parochial or even nationalist form, but rather in a global perspective, to make understandable the own life conditions in global relations. I think that's important for the future if we will need global citizens and not just national citizens, global citizens that are engaging for the global challenges of humanity. The second is directly related to this, the second point that was made. That's the call for a total revamp of the school curricula, more adapted to the new global age and the necessary knowledge and capacities to master these new conditions. Quite different from the ones of the 19th or early 20th century, when the current curricula have been coined. And perhaps a last one that was brought forward by many speakers directly or indirectly, that authentic sustainability should be understood as the African way to reach new forms of sustainability brought about by a joyful, smiling revolution and not imported from somewhere else. That were my 3 points I would make of the many points that I've made yesterday. And now I would like to hand over to Martin for his observations and then introducing to the first series of today's presentations. Martin.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also from my side, a warm welcome to everybody to our second day of our Conference for Africa. And let me briefly describe my thoughts on our first day of the conference yesterday. So one of my key takeaways on authentic sustainable action and what I have learned about acting sustainable in an authentic way is the importance of framing sustainable action. So when we look at the presentation of the We Love Kairan Foundation and its way of highlighting of building trust as a key to reach people in their life worlds and to establish in that way in sustainable acting. Trust is one of the points I really learned a lot about. Then second, the importance and the way of using playful narratives of creating the imagination of a sustainable future, like Andre has told us about his work for K-topia in Africa and his usage of collectible card games and the development of card games with children, for example, and the usage of that game, so to say, to establish a future-orientated, sustainable imagination. And then third, also the role of creating a sustainable way of imagination, like Noah has told us in his work for the Fair Picture Foundation, where he described that it's not only about telling the facts of sustainable acting, but of showing a different kind of pictures about how people act in their life worlds and how this, for me, did also showed the importance of the right way of framing sustainable acting. So not only what we are discussing here in these 2 days about an authentic way of sustainable acting, but also about framing this authentic way of sustainable acting. That was a very interesting insight for me as a sociologist, and I'm really grateful to have heard a lot of that accounts on sustainable acting. So I'm looking forward to today's discussion, and please let me introduce our program for today. So now we have our first section for today, which is starting with 2 presentations on the importance of youth and heritage, followed by a third presentation about the arts and the role of arts in sustainability. Then we have a brief break on 2 p.m. Central European Time, and then we are starting our second section for today, which is about the role of global talent and workforce, and also the role of AI and strategic foresight. And then we finish off the day with a panel discussion from the Global Sustainable Futures Network. So today we have also a very packed program with a lot of interesting insights from different actors from Africa, and I'm really looking forward to today's discussion.